Hello everyone, welcome back to Hesley Rokemon, and today, as you can see here, we will be talking about Articuno and how competitive it is. And I've made a little document because I know that my voice is not clear, like not always clear, so I made this and I'll just go through it with all of you. I'll put the link to this in the description if I know how to do that. So you can read this without my input and annoying voice, I guess. So yeah, you can see my nationality. Just go figure it out if you want to know. You probably don't. Alright, so we're gonna go into stats here. It has solid HP at 90. Attack we don't care about, but it's good, I guess. The defense and special defense are actually quite good and quite usable. The special attack is mediocre and between mediocre and best, I'd say. And the speed is middling. It's okay, I guess. But the ice flying type is where it starts to suck, because ice types are, well, they tend to be more offensive, the good ice types at least. The defensive ice types mostly aren't that good, at least before snow was there and hail was the ice weather. So now it's snow, then I think Articuno might have a niche, but to be honest, I don't really think so, because like 580 total is good, like really good already, but when you're thinking this is a legendary, then it's not really that impressive, you know? Because most of the legendaries have like 680, 600, those stuff. Okay, let's go down here. So, Articuno's stats are focused on bulk. Like, here it says mainly on bulk, but it's completely on bulk, because the special attack and attack stats aren't actually that good. So yeah, it really relies on surviving hits, taking hits, and maybe chip away some damage, set up some stuff, and yeah. But as I mentioned previously, the typing is really bad for defensive capabilities. The ice type. Okay, let's. Do I mention this? Yes. The ice type only resists itself. No immunities, and is weak to 4 types. If I remember correctly, that would be fire, rock, steel, and fighting. Yes. Fire, rock, steel, and fighting. Those are the types. Fire and steel are actually really common types, although steel, I will say, is more of a defensive type, more than an offensive type. So basically, not many people would run a steel type move on their steel type Pokemon. They would probably just run like toxic or maybe other moves. But this video is not about steel types. So no resistances, basically. Let's say it is no resistances, because only resisting itself is not that good. Like, it has no weakness resistances. So it's really difficult to switch in without sacrificing this thing, or maybe another Pokemon that was already on the field. If you really want Articuno to be on the field, set up some stuff and die and send something else, I guess. And the flying type does help with this, because it gives a neutral matchup to fighting, immunity ground, but that's it. Because flying is actually weak to electric, so you traded a weakness from fighting to electric, which I would argue is not that great of a trade. Because if I remember correctly, Articuno is in ZU or PU, somewhere like that, and electric types like Lantern and Vikavolt and Ampharos are really potent there, or very potent threats. And if you're Articuno, you don't want that many threats against you. And I didn't include that in the document, but I think I should add some other inputs in the actual video, instead of just reading out loud this document. yeah. And another thing the flying type does, but this one's negative, stealth rocks will do half to Articuno. Oh my god. Okay. Um, yeah, it takes half damage if stealth rocks are on the field and Articuno switches in. And that means you can switch it in twice before dying. Yes, twice at most. Because first turn you can send it in without any rocks. You can switch it out, and if they set up rocks, you can switch it back in, take half, go back in, and die. That's what happens. And that's not really something you want. Articuno is a defensive Pokemon. You don't want to faint by switching in, considering other Pokemon will probably want to attack you, and Fire and Steel are, again, really common Pokemon types, and offensive types generally. Steel is, of course, again, a defensive type, but now you traded the weakness from fighting to electric, and electric is actually a pretty decent uh, an offensive type. So, yeah, it's not that great of a trade, and you probably don't want that. Okay. And, oh yeah, there's a counterplay to that, which is heavy-duty boots, which I don't like this, because Articuno is a bulky Pokemon, and being forced into boots means you can't hold HP restoring items like Citrus Berry or Leftovers, which are actually really good on bulky Pokemon, especially ones with high HP, which, referring here, Articuno has some decent HP. So not being able to run Citrus Berry is a big deficit. Not being able to run Leftovers is a big deficit. Well, okay, I'm going to admit my wording is bad here. It can run these items, but if you do, you'll be risking the stealth rocks coming up and Articuno being absolutely destroyed. Because I'm assuming that most of the time you wouldn't want to lead with Articuno. At least I would never lead with Articuno. So I'm just assuming, okay? Like, Articuno has snow properties that would make it good to lead with. It doesn't have the ability to set up rocks, doesn't have the ability to set up spikes, no entry hazards at all. None of them. So you don't really have a reason to lead with it. You would probably much rather have a Pokemon set up a good position and let Articuno come in and do its thing. Speaking of which, let's go down. For abilities, so this thing has Pressure, which is it's a pretty good ability. So Pressure halves the amount of moves your opponents can make as long as Articuno is on the field, which it's not considered super useful, super amazing, but of course it's never bad to have make your opponents not able to attack you. Well, no, change that wording. It's good to make your your opponents attack your Pokemon less, at least have a less chance. Because, yeah, it's always good to survive hits when you're a bulky Pokemon. And when you're a bulky Pokemon, you can take a lot of hits and it will make your opponent's PP go down really quickly, you know? Too bad it's an ice type, so it doesn't really matter. So it's Hidden Belief Snow Cloak, which is probably better than Pressure. It's my personal opinion. It is better than Pressure, because Articuno is already getting a 50% boost in defense from Snow. Now you get Snow Cloak and you get an evasion boost, which, of course, is great. And if Articuno could have two abilities, and having both of them would be, let's say, chaotic, because your Pokemon can't even hit Articuno with Snow Cloak, but pressure is just taking away 2 PP, 2 PP at once. So it's really, really dangerous if you're unlucky, and Snow Cloak can absolutely ruin your day. I speak from experience. I've been ruined by Evasion Boost way too many times. So if you plan to run like Abomasnow or Ninetales, good for you. You can absolutely try Snow Cloak. If you dedicate your team to Snow, then there's always like benefits from using the Snow warning Pokemon like these two. So for the moves, here are the moves. Oh my god, there's so many. I made this document and I forgot how many moves there were. Tailwind, Ice Shard, Freeze Dry, Roost, Ice Beam, Hurricane, Haze, Blizzard, Icy Wind, Sunny Day, Rain Dance, Sandstorm, Snowscape, U-Turn, Air Slash, Reflect, Light Scream, Rest, Sleep Talk, Substitute, and Terra Blast. Note that these are only the moves for singles here. Singles. For doubles, they will be mentioned later. And there's a very large one, but I'll just summarize it generally. Let's go for Ice Beam, Blizzard, and Freeze Dry. So they're just generally pretty good Ice-type moves. And if you're running a Snow team with Snow Cloak and Abomasnow Ninetales, as I mentioned, like right here, then Blizzard is obviously the better choice. But personally, I think you should run if you're running a Snow team, then you would want Blizzard and then Ice Beam or Freeze Dry with it as well, just in case both of the Snow setters faint and you don't have Snow anymore, and then you risk missing Blizzard and losing the game. I would really hate that. So having either of these would be better, though I personally prefer Freeze Dry, and I think I listed Ice Beam down here. Big Level cover for water types is also really good. Ice Shard here is just there to pick up KOs on low HP opponents, give it a little bit of physical attack investment, then you can probably take out some Pokemon, because looking back up here, the attack stat's not bad. It's actually quite usable. Maybe should have put that into the speed stat, huh? Yes, yeah, so Ice Shard can absolutely pick up KOs, and it's really useful, I guess. Roost and Rest down here are both quite good healing options. Well, not Rest. Rest is bad, but I put it here anyways, because Roost only healing half is some kind of a deficit. And losing the flying type means your opponent will probably just Machamp dynamic punch on you and you would just die. Because, yeah, you lose the flying type after you use Roost. Only for that one turn, though. But Machamp is generally slow, so you would probably... The thing is, like, that would just end up with Articuno using Roost, losing the flying type, and Machamp just using Dynamic Punch and taking out the Articuno. You would not want that, okay? So, Rest is always a good choice, because you got Sleep Talk as well. You would have to predict when Articuno would wake up, but for me, I always predict that Articuno wakes up on the very last turn, after 3 sleep turns. Yes, because that's just my luck. And I would get Rest on the Sleep Talk every single time. So, let's go back up a little bit. Tailwind. Tailwind is a very good move, but for singles, it's really not that great. When you use Tailwind in singles, it's like you use Tailwind on the turn. It'll be like 4 or 3 turns, not sure. You switch out, or maybe down here we got U-turn. U-turn is another option. And then you would have like 2 or 3 turns left of Tailwind, which is just not enough for justify doing all that work. Safely bringing in your offensive Pokemon, not worth it. Icy Wind is a form of speed control as well, if you don't want Tailwind. The bad thing about this is that once your opponent switches out, oh my god, what have I done? Once your opponent switches out, the Icy Wind speed drops will be gone, and also Icy Wind has that small chance, like 5% to miss, and you generally just really don't want that. Haze is good because there's a lot of baton pass teams. I think I've seen a lot, and I've lost against quite a few of them because they had like evasion boosts and everything, and I didn't have Haze, I didn't have Clear Smog, I didn't have any moves for that because generally the well-performing teams don't run baton pass because they don't want to risk the evasion stuff. If their opponent gets really lucky and just hits all the moves, baton passing those evasion boosts becomes completely useless. So generally not many people use it, but it's always something that opponent threat for the lower ranking teams. So Haze is always a good option because, of course, Articuno would never bring you to a high rank. Man, I really hate Articuno Doomtai. So we've got the weather moves here, and I don't think it's that great, but if you decide to run like a Heat Rock, Smooth Rock, Damp Rock, and the Icy Rock, I think, then you can definitely use that. And if you use Snowscape, you can pair that with Blizzard. If you run Rain Dance here, you can pair it with Hurricane. If you run Sunny Day or Sandstorm, then you have a problem, but of course it still works, I guess. If you really want Articuno to die to another fire type move, you can absolutely do this. If you don't want to run Rain and you still want a flying type move, then you can consider Air Slash. Air Slash is really good. Well, not really good, because Air Slash is not really that strong and had that small chance to miss as well. But, like, Hurricane does a ton of damage, but it misses a lot, so that's a problem. U-turn is good because it helps. No. U-turn is good because it helps out positioning, which is something that beginners don't really understand in Pokemon, and I don't really understand it completely as well. I don't always know how to put myself in a good position. I don't always know how to do that. When I encounter a really bad matchup, I just fall and basically don't even take a single KO because they just switch around, ruin my life, my predictions are all wrong. I just overpredict a ton, or when I just don't predict, they predict me to not predict. So yeah, that's always something I struggle with. But for high-ranking players, U-turn is always a very useful tool to help position, because Articuno is not that fast. It can easily be outsped by like a lot of the fast Pokemon, like for PU, like Floatzel and maybe Scarf Medicham, maybe the offensive Scarf Mespritz, and maybe Bruxish. Bruxish is pretty fast, I think. At least I think it is. Typhlosion's pretty fast as well, just equivalent to Choice Scarf. So the two screens, which generally aren't that amazing, because Reflect and Light Screen are just there. If you run Light Clay, then maybe it'll work, but most of the time you, again, would run heavy-duty boots, so yeah. Substitute is a niche move, just being able to take hits, do some chip damage, set up some screens, then you can just keep chipping away until you win. It's very difficult to pull off, so I generally don't recommend it to Articuno users, but if you want Substitute, you can run Substitute. Terra Blast is just always good, because you can get a coverage move just by using the gimmick, being Terastallization, and having a coverage move is always great, and because if you look at Articuno's coverage. Right? Oh my god, I got all the moves on one side. Oh my god. The attacking moves are like Freeze Dry, Ice Beam, Hurricane, Near Slash. U-Turn is an attacking move, but it's not there to do damage, it's there to position, right? So you're not there to do stuff. Attack things with the U-Turn. So basically you only have Ice and Flying coverage with the additional Water type super effectiveness from Freeze Dry. So you would always want something like Terra Blast, maybe Terra Water, help you with Fire types, which you can't really touch, especially when the Sunny Day is set up. You can run Terra Ground, you can run Terra Rock, don't know. Not an Articuno fan. So this is the explanation. It's very long, that's why I didn't read from here. So for doubles though, there's a lot less, as you can see. So if there's any like no difference in singles and doubles, then I won't like mention them. I'll just refer back to right up there. I just won't talk about them. So Blizzard, no, not Icy Wind. Blizzard, Icy Wind is good, I guess. Blizzard is good, well, better than in singles, because you can just have Ninetales and Abomasnow on the field with Articuno at the same time, and then you can just start blizzarding. Is that a word, blizzarding? You can start using Blizzard a ton and then never miss your moves. Just keep chipping away at them. The double Blizzard, maybe. It's a good thing to imagine, but of course there's that one thing is that your Articuno may be outspin in one shot, right? So there's always that possibility, which you probably don't want. Icy Wind is better as well, because Icy Wind actually hits both opponents, if I remember correctly. And you can lower both of their speeds. And sometimes, if you just knock out 2 Pokemon, because when I refer to doubles, I refer to VGC, which allows 4 Pokemon in a single battle on one side. You just knock out 2 Pokemon and then start Icy Winding, and then the speed drops are stuck with your opponent for the rest of the battle. Tailwind is more useful as well because you don't have to switch out awkwardly just to get your offensive Pokemon in position. These two are similar, I guess. It's just easier to have other Pokemon there and do stuff. Haze is not a... Before Scarlet and Violet, I would say Haze is much less useful. But now we've got Dondozo on the field, and Haze is always a very good option. Because especially with Terra Water, you can very easily take Dondozo's hits. Yeah. And then just haze all its boosts away when Tatsugiri is in its mouth. So, yeah, haze is much more useful. Goldengo is considered Nashipo as well, so you may want to haze that away, because Goldengo is not immune to haze. Protect is always good on any Pokemon in VGC. I don't think any Pokemon would not want Protect, except for ones like Scarfers, you know? I mean, Solfesters, which I didn't Solfest or Chaladon, I forgot to get rid of Protect. Then it lost me the battle. I could have had Body Press, and I had Protect on my Solfest or Chaladon. Air Slash just remains the same. Substitute is less good, actually, because your opponents can double into you, right? They can Flare Blitz, break your sub, and Flare Blitz with another, take out Articuno. It's just that simple now. Hurricane's the same, I think. You can pair with Drizzle, or other, like Tornadus, Prankster, Rain Dance. But if you have Tornadus, then why would you want Tailwind on Articuno, right? Terra Blast remains the same. So, we're going to talk about Helping Hand here. Helping Hand, no, not Hurricane. Helping Hand is actually, to be honest, pretty good. Because sometimes when Articuno is on the field, you feel like the opponents think that it won't apply any pressure onto their Pokemon, like offensive pressure, which is true. So we have Helping Hand, and help out its partner do a ton of damage, take out a lot of Pokemon, maybe Helping Hand into Flutter Mane, Terra Fairy, Dazzling Gleam, which would absolutely destroy most opponents, especially with the choice specs, which I believe would take out most, if not all, Pokemon. And I think, yeah, that's about it. Okay, the held items, of course, boots, as we mentioned, leftovers. Citrus Berry is not as preferable, because leftovers is just more, I was gonna say more better, which is wrong grammar, which is more usable, I think, because it just heals over time. It doesn't have to wait until Articuno gets to half health. Light Clay is only for Reflect and Light Screen sets, and Chesto Berry is only for rest sets, which is only for the what are those called? Single battles, because I didn't mention rest in the doubles, because rest is really bad in doubles. You can just heal back to full and your opponent doubles into you and takes you out very easily. So, for Terra types though, Water, very good defensive type, and it provides a good coverage move, so it's actually one of the best ones. Ice, if you want more damage output, I guess, but Ice is never a type. Ice is never a Terra type that Articuno would want over Water or maybe Steel, which is right here. Steel. Steel is the best defensive type, having the most resistances, but of course it's not as preferable as on Articuno, because it makes you weak to fighting, makes you weak to ground, makes you weak to like fire as well, which are types that, or Ice was, except for ground, Ice was already weak to those types, so, and ground goes from an immunity to a weakness, so I don't think that's a very preferable trade. Flying is only a good option if you don't like Hurricane or Air Slash, because I understand that they're both very risky to use, especially if rain doesn't go up. Hurricane is basically useless if you're unlucky like me, and if you have Air Slash, you might not do enough damage, though, and you don't really get the flinch chance because Articuno is not really that fast, so maybe Terra Blast is more preferable for you. Okay, let's go down, and oh, we're at the conclusion already. Oh my god. So, throughout the video, well, throughout the document, let's cross off video right here, because I did not make Articuno sound very positive. Well, it does have a lot of defensive tools, but most of the time, you would want, like, Grimmsnarl to set up Reflecting Light Screen, because it's a prankster Pokemon so it has priority if it uses those moves, and it's Dark type, so it doesn't have to it doesn't have to worry about other prankster Pokemon using Taunt on it before it can set up those screens. Prankster Tailwind users like Whimsicott and Tornadus are always the choice for Tailwind, because, you know, they have priority. They can set it up, and your partner Pokemon can immediately go and attack. Okay, for the Helping Hand, you would probably want to use other Pokemon to do that, because Articuno's bulky, but like not that bulky. You would probably want to use Pokemon like Suicune, which are more viable, I think, because it does get Tailwind, it does get Helping Hand, it does have a similar move pool, I guess, so it's always decent. So going down, got Substitute, which Articuno can't do much damage, and if you decide to go like full on defensive, can't put Tom past sub to any other Pokemon because it doesn't learn the move. Speaking of which, subscribe if you enjoyed this. I know people hate it, but I gotta plug my channels. Come on, just sub, please. Oh my god, that was so cringy. So, back to substitute. There's no reason to do a substitute if you plan on running a defensive set, because again, you can't Tombass it. You can't do much damage behind the sub, so not really that useful. In the end, Articuno's typing is really bad for a defensive Pokemon, because if you don't run heavy duty boots, you can switch in twice at most without the Terra. Before dying, of course. And another thing, like, this typing does is give it a ton of weaknesses with near no resistances and a singular ground immunity, and it has a lack of coverage. And for the status moves that it actually has and is useful for, other Pokemon just do a better job at it. So this is why Articuno is basically never seen in any format on high-ranking and serious teams. The only way Articuno would be good, at least I would imagine, would be if all the competition disappear, like Tornadus, Whimsicott, or Grimmsnarl just aren't in the game. Then Articuno would be your only option for Tailwind, Light Screen, Reflect, etc. Then Articuno would probably be one of the best Pokemon, because it's your only option, of course. So, this is the end of my thoughts on Articuno. Go back to the channel, like and subscribe if you enjoyed my video. I'm working on the next one right now. It's probably going to be another legendary bird. You can guess if it's Moltres or Zapdos. So, this is the end. Goodbye.